Good evening and welcome to the State of Business on Art Television. I am Shavika Samarasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines. Central Bank hosts post-budget forum. Construction sector pursues revival. News in detail. Speaking at the post-budget forum held yesterday by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Secretary to the Treasury K.M.M. Siriwardana discussed measures taken to boost government revenue.
In addition to the policy measures that were implemented starting from May, August, and very recently in October, we have emphasized in this budget to strengthen tax administration. Because tax administration is very important if you are to basically get the expected revenue. So we hope the measures that we have put forward in this budget, particularly the establishment of the Presidential Commission on Taxation, will be very useful. And the idea of the government is to get some recommendations on the setting up of a revenue authority that would basically oversee the operations of these three revenue institutions in the country: Inland Revenue Department, Excise Department, and the Custom. So that is from the revenue side. And from the expenditure side, we have been very serious. We issued the very first circular somewhere in April, asking the line ministries to streamline their expenditures, stop their recruitments, and make whatever the savings, because this is the time that you have to act responsibly, and we need their contribution to basically overcome this situation. That's the clear message that we have given with the approval of the cabinet to reduce the government expenditures. And we are very closely monitoring those, and we have seen some results.
Also speaking at the post-budget forum, Chief Executive Officer for PwC Sri Lanka, Sujeeva Mudalige, highlighted the need to review government expenditure on defence.
One other thing which I didn't see on expenditure, you asked me, I know the expenditure is going up from 3.6 to 4.6, 30% increase. I mean, as a taxpayer, I have to say this. I'm sure most of the taxpayers here will agree. The elephant in the room is defence. We are spending 500 billion rupees to maintain the tri-forces and the police. 500 billion. That's a huge amount of money. I think one thing that we have forgotten is that we are an island nation. And it's 13 years since the end of the conflict. I think a review is required on this. Just imagine, I know Governor is so passionate on this and ST also on the social security net. I think what we are doing is insufficient. Just imagine, if you take 10% from our defense and public security bill, defense is 410, public security is 122, 532, right? 530, and it has gone over the years since the end of the war, it has been increasing, right? And also keep in mind, with almost a 400 billion in 2019, we had the Easter tax. So the amount of quantum of defense doesn't mean that you are more secure.
Speaking further at the Central Bank's post-budget forum, PwC Sri Lanka Chief Mudalige also debated the rationale behind the new tax structures.
One of our largest apparel companies said we are expanding in India. Yesterday's daily FT, right? They are expanding in India. And these are companies which are here. And then Vietnam, 0% for 3 years, 10% thereafter, and 20% thereafter. Right? So our 30% for exporters, I know ST and Governor are fully supportive of the export industry to grow. I think we missed a trick on export taxes, or anyone earning dollars to that effect. I mean, that's my first point. Second point is this personal income tax at 36%. I honestly couldn't find a single country in Asia, other than Japan and South Korea, who is actually taxing 36% other than India, who has a surcharge tax. We are a complete outlier on personal taxes. And if we think we can collect the amount that you said on personal taxes by raising this, I think, again, we missed the bus on that. I'll give you the rates. Indonesia, 30%. Philippines, 35%. Bangladesh, 25%. Malaysia, 30%. Vietnam, 35%. Cambodia, 20%. Thailand, 35%. Myanmar, 25%. Singapore, 22%. Hong Kong, 15%. And Sri Lanka is 36%. So we are a complete outlier on that. So on that amendment bill that came through, these were there on that. So I generally think some revision is required on this.
Stay tuned. We will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. Consultant for the construction sector, Professor Chitra Vedikkara, yesterday highlighted the need for a new approach to executing projects if the sector is to endure. She did so while addressing a seminar organized by the Ceylon Institute of Builders aimed at reviving the construction sector.
But I must say to all my friends here, we have 2 bleak years where I think we have to look differently, look out of the box and see whether we could go forward, because as Doctor says, we were very well cushioned with the government facilitating for last 2 decades the construction industry. Everything was given by the government, all the projects. But now the government said nothing doing. You mind your own way of doing the project. So all the construction industry chamber, Janta is there, all of us are here. I think we have to start looking at ourselves and seeing how we can shape ourselves to do this 2 years. Otherwise, everybody, I can say, we are doomed at the moment. So I am really not sure yet. Some kind of innovative, productivity-oriented processes must be looked in. Volumetric construction, where off-site construction is done, off-site assembly and done it in the site, so that we cut down our labor and we, so lots of new thinking will have to, because if you look at Singapore and all these other countries, they look at productivity in a very big way.
Also participating in the CIOB seminar was Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe. While addressing those gathered, Governor Veerasinghe pointed to the detrimental impact of protectionist policies.
Even before this crisis, why you had to rely on the government? Because the private sector construction cost was already too high. Relative cost of construction in Sri Lanka compared to India, and you know the business, compared in the regional countries, still way too high. There are a lot of other reasons. Some of the raw materials, the tiles, bathware, even skirting fan, they want a protection. Steel, cement, they want a protection. The market price, the domestic price is not the global price. That you are paying for the protection of that industry locally, and construction industry have the high cost escalate, high cost, and ultimately who has to pay this? That is why this in Sri Lanka, in the private sector construction industry is not developing, because a lot of people cannot afford the construction cost even before this crisis. Now it has escalated to a different level. So now people's income will have to go up to afford that kind of housing, the cost of construction. This is another area I would want you to look at from your own point of view.
Speaking further, Governor Veerasinghe discussed the importance of asset management companies in supporting banks to navigate situations such as this.
And one other comment I have is, usually in this kind of situation, now in the budget, this in fact has been discussed even earlier, what they call the asset management companies, where issue fine from the banking sector assets, those are being basically cannot be recovered. Then you have a model market, even Malaysia has done it very well. You take the asset out of the banking system and have an asset management company, they will take care of this asset and try to find a value, invest in that with the intention to recover in the future. So there are certain models, I think this has been discussed for a long time, but even this budget, I hope that will be a reality. This is something in this kind of economic cycles. There could be bad effect assets in the banking sector. Right now, banks are basically left with all in their books. They can't offload that to someone who can manage separately. This is one of the solutions, but right now it's not available, but I hope that will work.
Stay tuned for the stock update. Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today. The all-share price index dropped 204.48 points to close at 8,087.04, and the S&P SR20 dropped 62.23 points to close at 2,483.05. The turnover was 0.6 billion rupees and over 69 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.